The day is like any other for influencer Clavicular. He has a stream planned for 3 p.m. and right now he has some free time to do whatever. With that time, he looks at his analytics and realizes the harsh truth. He, like any other influencer, has fallen off. This begs the question of why did he fall off? Some say it was because he didn't have a personality. Others say it was because of his toxicity. But there was one big thing that could be the blame. The day is February 5th, 2026. Global media sensation Brandon Peters, otherwise known as Clavicular, is live streaming at the College of Arizona State University. Everything is going well until...
You got me by a lot. I stopped gymming.
Now, what we just witnessed is the act of frame mogging, which means being overshadowed by someone else's physical traits. Now, if you're over 30, you would probably think that someone being weaker than another person wouldn't be that big of a deal. After all, only one person can be the strongest in the world. But Clavicular getting frame mogged led to something huge. The clip went viral and he was cancelled by the entire internet. Today, we will analyze who Clavicular really was, his negative influence on young men, and how the frame mogging incident of February 5th could be the blame to his internet downfall. Starting off, who really is Clavicular? Born December 17th, 2005, Clavicular rose to popularity with his looksmaxxing content. Things like bone smashing, thumb pulling, and various other weird strategies were used by him to look his best. Now, the reason he stood out from others was because the extent he took looksmaxxing was insane. In various interviews, Clavicular declares that he takes crystal meth to stay lean. He also admits to taking steroids and peptides too.
For 3 days, I spammed a combination of Adderall and methamphetamine for appetite suppression. And I literally went on a 3-day fast and stayed awake the entire time. And I lost 5 pounds, so.
Now, I'm not one to judge another's ways of getting ripped, but it's the audience Clavicular makes content towards that is a problem. Which that brings us to part 2, the negative influence Clavicular has on men. If we look at this chart of the age demographic that watches Clavicular, we can see that most of them are young men. This is problematic because young men are still growing in life. The human brain doesn't stop growing until 25, so before then is when ideas well deep. Clavicular produces the idea that if you look good, everything else will come afterwards. Happiness, money, everything. In a podcast with Friedland, this idea is brought up.
Where do you rank male beauty in like the kind of scale of what's important? Like
The highest.
like higher than like kindness or something.
Yeah. All the intangible things like, being kind or, being funny.
Yeah.
That's all going to be haloed by your attractiveness. So there's no point in really valuing them as separate things when they're all kind of interconnected.
Is this true? I wouldn't know. And I suppose the people who follow Clavicular don't either. So if they see someone that is very credible in the popularity aspect, they would listen to anything they have, no matter how brainless it is. This leads to something called toxic masculinity. These young men, they think they don't have to respect women, they just have to look good. And it doesn't help that it's not in just the girls aspect. In a podcast with Michael Knowles, Clavicular is questioned about his political ideals. This is when he answers with this.
Yeah, but I mean, like this next election cycle, who's going to win? It's going to be Gavin Newsom against J.D. Vance because J.D. Vance is subhuman and Gavin Newsom mugs.
J.D. Vance is subhuman?
Yeah.
What makes you say that?
He's got a very short total facial width to height ratio. He's obese, very recessed side profile, whereas Newsom is like 6'3" Chad.
Does this sound familiar to you? We can bring this to the book Fahrenheit 451, where one of Mildred's friends says her vote is based on whoever looks the best. Isn't that what we just read from Clavicular? What? The similarities between Clavicular's ideas and the ideas of a dystopian society that lives solely for pleasure and can't produce deep thoughts is astonishing. Many articles have been published depicting Clavicular's toxicity as the reason he had his downfall. An article by Current Affairs says that Clavicular's career was over from the get-go, the reason being all he had was looks going for him. The negative impact he had on his audience built his career on sand. As of lately, his viewership ratings have been depleted month by month. By the end of the year, it will be remarkable if he's still mainstream. Up in front of us is the chart of Clavicular's viewership rating on the platform he streams on, Kick. What we can see is that his ratings have halved since the start of February. So all of this must mean that the blame for Clavicular's downfall was the toxicity on his audience, right? Well, sure, he did have a fragile career, but there must be an event that causes the glass to shatter, the straw that broke the camel's back. And that leads us to part 3, the frame mog. What? Clavicular getting frame mogged should not have been that big of a deal, but because of his infamy in the looksmaxxing community, it was taken out of hand. Proof the frame mog was the blame for Clavicular's cancellation is in the stats. Now let's take a look back at the viewership chart. Knowing when the frame mog took place, February 5th, we can see that right after that date is when the viewership dropped. Now, more evidence we have is from personal accounts of young men. When asked for his story, one 22-year-old from Daily Dot's interview says that once Clavicular got frame mogged, it sort of awakened me for what I've been doing my whole life. I realized I had been worshipping an insecure insole that manipulated me into thinking the key to life was just looking good. In reality, someone will always mog you. You should put more effort into being a decent human being instead of some selfish, arrogant piece of nothing that mocks. To conclude, although most people think the fall off of Clavicular was because of his boring persona or his toxic masculinity, which led to people not caring about him anymore, it was actually the frame mog that opened the youth's eyes and realized they had been following a fraud maxer instead of a looks maxer. Thank you to all of you who have watched to the end of this video. If there's one thing I want you to learn, I would like it to be that chasing secular things like girls, money, fame, gym bod, etc. will get you nowhere in life. Instead, having a relationship with God would be better than all of these combined. Thank you for watching, and I will see all of you guys in the next one.